it's using
Yeah.
AI, it's using new technology. And what we've learned with Bounty Gel is that when you can take Bounty Gel and combine it with fertilizer, what it does is it takes a traditional NPK, it anchors it to the root zone so there's no migration issues, and then it slows the release. So the NPK is released with the water. So it's a continuous release of NPK. You're reducing the amount of fertilizer, you're making the fertilizer more effective.
Welcome to the New World Podcast, where we delve into the ever changing and accelerating pace of global change and its impact on our lives. I'm your host, John Paul Flores, broadcasting live from the New World Studio. Today, we're diving into the world of AI and automation. As an enthusiast and expert in lead generation, I will guide you through understanding and leveraging these technologies for your business and for your personal use. And don't forget, AI and automation might be unstoppable forces, but that doesn't mean you are powerless. Tune in to learn how to make them work for you and not the other way around. But first, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the New World Podcast, where we navigate the changing world around us. I'm your host, John Paul Flores, specializing in lead generation and AI automation, here to help you understand how our world is changing and what it means for you. In this episode, we have Paul Goldberg, the visionary CEO of Carbon Neutral AG Sciences. We will delve into the innovative product of BountiGel, explore its transformative impact on crop science, and discuss the future of sustainable agriculture. Join us as we uncover how Paul's leadership and cutting edge technology are defining the future of farming. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, John Paul. I'm very flattered that you selected to have us. Thank you.
And before we begin on the in depth questions, because we do have some, can you share with us a quick intro on who Paul Goldberg is? What's your experiences, your expertise, and what keeps you busy these days?
Well, I'm 66 years old. I've been in business since I was a teenager. I've always been a serial entrepreneur. My main focus has always been buying distressed assets, mostly in the manufacturing sector. And then our goal was always to take a rationalize a redundant plant site and then hopefully bring someone in with IP who could then turn it around and make it a repurposed plant where people retain jobs and this dormant facility now becomes vibrant again. And I've been doing that for a long time. So that's been my main business for my career.
So you're talking about Redmore. So you were a partner there where you acquire different assets, and now you are in Carbon AG Sciences, which is a farming industry. What drove you or attracted you into this industry?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I did not grow up in an agricultural family or an agricultural culture. I grew up in New York City. What happened was I was getting to the point where I was considering either retiring or continuing on. And a colleague of mine was shipping orchids from the Netherlands to the United States. And he was getting paid based on how many arrive alive and what the conditions of the orchids were. And he found by making what he called thick water, which was using Bounty Gel, he was able to uh, yield a much higher profit. The problem was that the product was owned at that time by a private equity firm, and the supply was inconsistent, the prices were inconsistent, and he had some very serious concerns about the success he was having with the product. So he asked me if I would take a look at the business. And the short version is after doing some evaluation, I said, let's buy it and let's give it a shot. So at 64 years old, I decided to get involved in agriculture. My partner, Hedit Dijkstra from the Netherlands, was 81. And we said, why not? Let's take a shot.
Do you think it's a more relaxing industry to be in right now?
No, agriculture is a very interesting market. Farmers want to they want to know the people that are bringing these products to them. They want people like us to come to their farms, see their conditions, and understand it. It's a much more difficult process or a longer process than what I was used to. I come from a business of a 30-minute sales cycle, not a 30-month sales cycle. So it's been an interesting challenge.
But do you think it's just, it's more of a people business?
Yes, yes, I'm having a lot of fun talking to farmers, learning how they think. They're some of the smartest business people in the world. And what you have to respect about farmers more than anything is their business is their home, and their home is their business. And their family are their coworkers. And so they are very, very smart and very sharp on their numbers. They know what they have to put into each acre, what that acre will yield, and they really know how to figure out the math because it's all about their family. It's a very family centric business, and that I really enjoy.
Can you explain to us the core mission of carbon neutral AG Sciences and how it aligns to your vision with agriculture?
Carbon neutral ag sciences is based around a product called BountiGel. BountiGel is in traditional words, is considered a hydrogel or a super absorbent polymer. And what it does is it holds water in the root zone, which at a time where we are encountering climate change, drought conditions, and so forth, to have a product that can hold water in the root zone, plus the other nutrients as well, will become a new feature that farmers will have to contend with in years to come. And I thought it was the right product at the right time. Furthermore, I then learned that what makes our product different than anything else on the market is traditional hydrogels are made with polyacrylamide. Polyacrylamide leaves microplastics in the soil, which have been regulated out. Our product is the only hydrogel that has been confirmed and certified by both the United States Department of Agriculture and the Compost Alliance as being both compostable and biodegradable. So we now can feel proud and take pride in the fact that what we're offering to farmers is a safe product that will help them contend with the water crises in the years to come.
So basically, what Bounty Gel does is instead of just the water passing through the soil, it actually makes it stick to the upper part side on the roots. So it gets the ability to be absorbed in the future.
Exactly. So Bounty Gel is planted 4 to 6 inches or 8 to 10 centimeters under the soil.
Yeah.
It's planted in the root zone. And so what happens is when it rains or when you irrigate, the water comes through, it's captured by the Bounty Gel. So now the water is now released 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're reducing your irrigation cycles, you're reducing the amount of
Yeah.
fertilizer, and you're preventing the migration of these nutrients so that you don't have to worry about polluting the rivers and the streams with fertilizer and nematicides.
What can farmers generally expect with the use of Bounty Gel in terms of what they get to save because they don't have to water anymore that much, or what other things do they benefit from if they use Bounty Gel?
Well, Bounty Gel has been proven to have a much higher survival rate amongst trees because, again, the basic element of all is just the release of nutrients consistently. So tree survival go from 85 to 98%. Seed germination rate goes up to as high as 35, 38%. And then when you have your row crops, what happens is because the water and the nutrients are continually delivered, you don't find that that mid-afternoon blazing sun, which causes the crops to have some kind of weakness. That's how they get ill and diseased. We're finding that disease is almost completely eliminated because of the continuing delivery of the nutrients.
That's amazing. And since you mentioned you acquired BountiGel a few years back, what were the most common challenges that you have faced when you first started working on it?
Well, when we bought it, it was almost like a Hollywood movie set. It looked beautiful from the outside, but when you opened the door, there was no infrastructure. So we had the challenge during COVID of trying to create manufacturing when we couldn't go out and visit manufacturing sites. That was the first challenge. Then the second challenge was learning how to work with the farmers. And that has been both the most difficult challenge and the most fun because at the end, when you there was a farmer in Colorado. This young woman took over a family farm and they were growing watermelon. And there was a section of the farm that they could not grow on because the soil was very sandy in a very windy area. And when they started using Bounty Gel, all of a sudden, this area, which was never able to yield any crop, this 20% of the total farm, all of a sudden they were able to produce watermelons with the highest bricks content they ever had. And that's been probably the most rewarding aspect of it.
That's amazing. So it does not only make usable lands better, it also makes unusable lands usable.
Especially in sandy soil conditions, because the problem with sandy soil is everything goes straight down.
Yeah.
Bounty gel creates a barrier between the sand so that the water does not go past the bounty gel. It just grabs it and holds it. And this way, sandy soil
Yeah.
now becomes viable. And when you can look at how much soils are out in the farming community that's not viable because of the sandy conditions, and we have a solution. When you talk about the UN mandate to make sure that the world could be fed by 2050, and this is a big thing, we know we will have a positive impact on that.
Yeah, farmers work hard, and especially with the population growth right now.
Yes. Hey, I don't know if we can edit here, but I'd like to show you a demonstration of the product if I can. Would that
Yeah,
help at all?
yeah, sure. I'm gonna have it here. If you can just send it to me.
I can do it right here. Can I do it on the camera? Or you
Yeah,
want me to
sure.
send it to you?
Yeah, sure. You can do it in the camera so people can actually see it.
All right, give me a minute and I'll get it together. This should be great. Now you can actually see it work.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut this part off, but yeah, people would like to see this.
We'll go back and we'll reintroduce it so it seems seamless.
Yeah,
All right, let me go get my product. Give me a second. All right, you want to go back and we'll introduce it and then I'll do this so it seems more organic?
yeah, sure. Let's go in five, four, three, two, one. Can you show with us? Do you have a demonstration of your product so people can see it?
Absolutely. So this is what Bounty Gel looks like. It's just a powder. It comes in a regular bag. Comes in 10 kilo or 25 kilo bag or super sack, depending on the farm. And if you think about it, you have a drip line of which the waters exit. You have the Bounty Gel and the seed line. So you have this cup of water, just to give you a quick understanding. So you have a cup of water, and then we put the Bounty Gel in, and I'll put a little bit more in for the purpose of time. And what you'll see is how quickly it starts to absorb the water.
Yeah.
And if you think about what's happening right now is it's raining and the water seeping in underneath the soil. And instead of just running off and so forth, it keeps going down because this keeps absorbing it. And what happen is, as you can see, it's starting to gel
Oh yeah.
and it's getting thicker. And now this water is gone. There's no more water in the cup. It's completely absorbed by a few grains, not even grams, a few grains of Bounty Gel.
That's convenient.
So now, if you think about it, you water
Yeah.
on the soil, and then it releases it, and then it will, as you can see, there's no water in the cup.
And the soil can still absorb the nutrients of it.
Exactly. So the nutrients
Uh,
are, this will continue to hold and release continuously without any interruption. And and this will last in the soil performing for up
yeah.
to 3 full seasons. And then when it's no longer used, it slowly biodegrades naturally, and it's made with potassium. So the
Yeah.
potassium, and it's not a lot of any real chemical in there. The potassium is the only thing that really stays behind. It's not an amount that moves the needle either way, but it's safe. It's not
Yeah.
microplastic. It's not any of the other nasty elements that have been put into some of the
Yeah.
traditional hydrogels.
So it's not the it's not, there's fertilizers out there that are harmful to us. So it's not like that.
No, it does not have any polyacrylamide. It
Yeah.
doesn't have any harsh chemicals. It's all organic. And so when it's done, it's done. There's no remnants or
Yeah.
anything in the soil.
So how they put it actually on the soil? They just spread it around there. So it
You
just yeah.
You
That's good.
just basically it's placed on the farm with
Yeah.
traditional equipment. You have a tractor on the back of the tractor, just like you have your
Yeah.
fertilizer seed, and you just calibrate it out. We have a YouTube channel which
Yeah.
shows exactly how to apply it.
I
And
was thinking earlier that since the name is Bounty Gel, that you're gonna be shipping this big thick gels, but that's convenient, having them in the powder and just absorbs. That's great.
yes, and when you talk about the future of farming is more
Yeah,
about smart farming. It's using
yeah,
AI, it's using new technology. And what we've learned with Bounty Gel is that when you can take Bounty Gel and combine it with fertilizer, what it does is it takes a traditional NPK, it anchors it to the root zone so there's no migration issues, and then it slows the release. So the NPK is released with the water. So it's a continuous release of NPK. You're reducing the amount of fertilizer, you're making the fertilizer more effective in in both the terms of it's not going to migrate away, so every single pellet will get into the root zone. We're also doing that with seed, where we're using this for higher seed germination. We're also doing it, for example, as a company in South America that they have something called an adjuvant. An adjuvant is an insecticide that is attached to a leaf. Its effectiveness is its ability to adhere to the leaf longer. What happened was adjuvants were drying up from the hot sun and then falling off. Again, by using the Bounty Gel, it keeps it in a moist state. This is not going to dry up and go away. It's going to stay there and adhere to the leaf. So it augments the values of all the other nutrients. The two together are even greater. And what I'm really excited about is with the advent of biologicals, we now have some of the largest biological companies looking at new formulations, which includes Bounty Gel. So the future is both Bounty Gel alone, but Bounty Gel in combination with other products.
That's amazing. And do you think that the fact that they're not using as much fertilizer because Bounty Gel helps it gets absorbed easier makes it much better for the health of the plant and for the people who's eating it?
Exactly. So the Bounty Gel and
Yeah.
the fertilizer form a new prill, a new granule. So now the fertilizer, because Bounty Gel will attach to any source of moisture. So now the fertilizer is combined with the Bounty Gel. So the fertilizer, you don't have that migration, where they put it on top and then it rains or it waters and it washes in. Then you have the problems with the red tide in the oceans and the waters because of all the fertilizer and the phosphate that's in there. Now it stays in the soil. It does not go into the streams. That's another big feature of the Bounty Gel.
So we get more crops with less resources that we put into it.
Exactly. You get more for less.
Yeah.
That's exactly the what it says about a company. Less
Yeah.
drops, greater crops. And that is the future, and we see it. I'll share another problem that Bounty Gel addresses. So we're working now with a major corporation in chicken farms. The chickens have a problem with excrement, where if they're not in a clean environment, the salvation rate of the chickens are very low. You have burning of the feet. You have underweight chickens. The Bounty Gel combined now with traditional clays that are used in there. Clay is a 1-to-1 absorption. Bounty Gel is a 250-to-1 absorption. So you're pulling all that excrement away from the chickens, reducing the ammonia levels in the air, and now you're having healthier chickens, higher weight chickens, 6 to 8 ounces greater, no burning of the feet, which is another component of it. But here's the best part: when it's done, you take those, you clean up the clay and Bounty Gel, and then you put it in the field as a slow release fertilizer with high ammonia and nitrogen content. It's a 360 product, which is such in demand these days, is to have a product that not only serves the original purpose, but serves the environment. And Bounty Gel does that. And I am so excited about the future with some of these new concepts.
That's amazing. So basically, instead of just the waste getting sucked up and shown away, you actually use your product to absorb it, and it could be just scooped up just because of the consistency of it, and be used as a fertilizer.
Exactly. By absorbing the excrement, you got nitrogen and
Yeah.
ammonia in the granule, and then you
Yeah.
and you can measure exactly what the content is. And we've started these kind of tests, and we've already learned this is effective. It's going to go on in so many. There's another test that we're doing right now with the EPA with hydrocarbons from the old oil and electrical stations, and these are Superfund sites. So in the past, they would put polyacrylamide down to grab all that loose oil and then incinerate it. Problem was, it was leaving microplastics. So the cure for the problem was actually creating another problem. So now they're using Bounty Gel, which does not have microplastics, has the same, if not a greater
Yeah.
absorption rate. And so now we're finding another use in Superfund sites. This is that unique of a product.
Yeah. And it's amazing because you have so much use cases that in the future you can basically have so big of a manufacturing.
Exactly. And so for me, my vision is there's only so much we were able to take this product and really prove its effectiveness through real life testing. We've established that. We've established our bona fides. We've established our price point, which is at a right price. We've established the fact that it's biodegradable and compostable. So we've checked all the boxes. The future for Bounty Gel and for Carbon Neutral is strategic partnerships with major corporations who have the ability. They have an evolved sales force to bring it to the market. They have evolved distribution. They have laboratories to test new products. This is the future. And when you see companies like Corteva and Certus, who are biologicals doing new products, This is where Bounty Gel will fit in. And I think in 2 to 3 years, this product will be in the hands of a major agricultural company that will be able to monetize the value of this product and bring it to farmers throughout the world. Well, it's very hard when you're doing tests with outdoors. You can't control rain, you can't control where the water hits, you can't control the seed. But whenever we've had a test in which the variables were constant, Bounty Gel has always performed. It's never failed to perform. Well, I'll give you an example. We had a company down in Mexico, and when I was considering buying the company, as part of my due diligence, I wanted to talk to them and find out why they use it. Now, they use 15 to 20 tons a year. They're one of the largest producers of tomatoes in Mexico. And when I spoke to the general manager, he said the savings in water and fertilizer alone had a significant return on investment that justified purchasing the product. When I spoke to the field crop manager, he said because it's releasing water throughout the entire day, his disease and illness to his crops had gone down significantly, and now he had a higher yield and a better quality fruit. When I spoke to the gentleman in the orchard, what he said was his survival rate went up from 85% to 98%. So that's what the most farmers are finding is whatever way they're using it, they're getting the right result. The most important thing is they have to apply it properly because Bounty Gel is not applied on top like most traditional nutrients. It must be placed under the soil. So as long as they're doing it properly, and we have a team that makes sure that anyone who uses Bounty Gel, we educate them on how to use it. We have a training course. We send out videos. We do everything we can to make ourselves available to the farmers. Absolutely. And we have a grower in Kenya which relies strictly on rainwater. And he's growing a type of a flower where he extracts a nutrient from this flower to make an organic nematicide. By using Bounty Gel, he had 4 times the result, a 400% increase on his return on investment. And so places like Kenya, Uganda, Morocco, India, Middle East, these are the places that are really thriving with Bounty Gel. It's not necessarily the United States, it's everywhere else. I think the biggest objection they have is it's something that's new. And unfortunately, farmers have been aggressively marketed to with all kinds of new and great inventions. And farmers are they're very conservative. They're very careful how they spend their money. They know they can only afford to put a certain amount of money per acre, and they adhere to that number. So the hardest thing is to get past all the previous products that were snake oil or whatever you want to call it that just weren't really the right thing. And once we can get them to try it, that's where we get our customers. We insist that they at least create a 1 acre or 2 acre patch to try it and then let them see for themselves how it performs. I think that's a great question. I think there are a lot of misconceptions. I don't think people understand fully what that means. The word sustainable is hard to define or apply to your particular craft or your vocation. Farmers are learning that sustainable means that you have a protocol of planting which is able to be repeated over and over again without causing harm to the fields. That's, to me, the definition of sustainable. Creating a safe and healthy environment that can be replicated every year. And they have their own protocols and processes. And once we're in there and we're proving who we are, I think that's when you start to see customers becoming more comfortable. So they usually start off by doing 1 or 2 acres, then they go to 5 to 10. And it probably takes 3 to 4 years before they're ready to go all in. But it's that slow rollout, which as a business owner, I'm not that comfortable with, but as a practical person, I understand. It takes time for people to really learn. And I understand the importance for farmers that every dollar they put in has to bring back has to bring back a return that allows them to feed their family. It's 100% accurate. That's their biggest concern is they have a plan to one of the hardest things we've had is to be able to get in the planting protocol. So they have a system in place and it's very hurried because, you must do it when nature says this is when you plant, you must plant. It's not like you can put it off. When the weather is right and the ground is right, you must plant. That's been one of the most difficult aspects is to get them to incorporate a new product into their plan. I would say Africa, Mexico, India, and now it's becoming the Middle East, where water is limited and rain is, in many cases, the one source of irrigation. Exactly. That's exactly right. Because this product will hold the rain and it's like a sponge. And then it becomes like a bank account of water in the soil. So if it rains on a Monday morning, Bounty Gel will have that water delivered to the crop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever amount of rain it can hold. And again, it holds up to 250 times its weight in water. It's a lot of water that and so one of the things we tell people is the application rate of Bounty Gel is 10 kilos per acre, 25 kilos per hectare. In certain sandy soils, you may want to go up a little bit. No, it's basically to put Bounty Gel in the soil. It's about $65 an acre to put it in the ground. 3 years. Yes. So you talk about $22 a year. And that, I mean, think about it. If you're putting through your drip line, your fertilizer, and you're able to reduce 5 irrigation cycles a month, that's 20% less fertilizer every single time. And when you look at the cost of fertilizer, that's a lot of money. Yes, very expensive. And it's just once they've tried it and once they see it, it just increases the amount that they use. And now we have certain growers that will not grow without Bounty Gel. They insist upon it. They'll give us their planting plan, their plans for the year. Like next month or two, we'll get their plans for 2025, so we know how much they want and when they need it. Well, besides blending Bounty Gel and incorporating it in other nutrients, AI is going to play a big part in the future. AI is allowing farmers to really understand the water distribution throughout their fields and the carbon content and everything they need to know about growing. AI and drones have allowed farmers now to really examine. If you think about it, if you have a 10,000 acre farm, by having a drone, you can literally see on your laptop how your crops are doing. And with AI, you can measure content, moisture content, fertilizer content throughout the whole plot of land. And then you know how to make those adjustments. And I think that Bounty Gel, when used combined with some of these smart technologies, allows farmers to apply not just randomly or not just through a certain established pattern, but a pattern that's determined by empirical data. And that's what's driving the future of farming. It'll be a smarter, more informed farmer than one that's just relying on experience and gut feeling. Absolutely. And that's the excitement of Bounty Gel is when I see take a look at the Middle East where they're trying to become a sustainable entity. In Saudi Arabia, you've got NEOM and some of these projects that are sustainable communities that the government is backing, so they're not reliant on outside growers. They're growing in their own country for their own people. When you have that kind of sandy soil, it's a real challenge how to make it productive. We are one tool that they can use amongst other tools, but it's a tool. And you'll see that it's going to become another part of the traditional inputs. In future, it'll not just be seed, fertilizer, nematicide, it'll also be a water management component. And that's what we are. We are a water management component. And that will be as vital as the seed, the fertilizer, and the nematicide in years to come. Absolutely. If you look at Saudi Arabia, there's a project called NEOM, NEOM. Yes. And they're growing crops in parts that they never grew before. And it's a slow process, but they're learning it and they're committed to becoming a sustainable nation. And that's very important. You don't have to rely on neighboring countries or other places. That's one of the things we learned during COVID is that we need to take care of ourselves and not rely on outside countries or outside parties to help us sustain. You're going to see more and more countries become self-sustaining and not rely on outside countries to provide them. That's where vertical farming and indoor farming is coming in. In the Netherlands, you got greenhouse farming, and all of them are creating new ways of delivering food, fresh food. Not to mention one thing we didn't talk about, which is alternative proteins. You're finding more not meat, not chicken, and it's used through plants. And so plants are going to replace cows and chickens and animals for as a source of protein. Again, you're going to have to be able to grow more. I think I'm a little bit older, but the younger generation is very aware of what they put in their body. They want clean food. They want healthy food. They don't want necessarily just animal fat. They want plant based protein. And I think as the years go on, you're going to find a much higher percentage of the protein coming from plant sources than it is from animal sources. You know, and I think that's one of the biggest changes, and farmers will benefit from them, but they're going to have to be prepared to do that. Well, neither have I. But if you look in your supermarket, there's now sections just for plant-based food, and it's just going to keep going. Restaurants now all have a menu item or two that's plant-based, and it's just going to keep growing. Absolutely. We're also seeing even a trend like, for example, diapers. What's used in a diaper right now comes from the same family as Bounty Gel, which is an SAP, the ability to absorb moisture or liquid. And they're using one that's very it's not, you're not able to put in a landfill, and you can't incinerate it. It's not a good product. It's got polyacrylamide, it's got sodium. I think in time, biodegradable diapers will be a market. People, once you can get the prices within, let's say, 5 to 8% higher, maybe, but in that range, these kind of products, that's the future. And our type of product will be the baseline for all of these other products. It's the same family. I'll give you tell you how we learned that Bounty Gel was biodegradable and compostable. We didn't seek that information. What happened was the USDA was looking at a substitute for polystyrene. If you think about floral arrangements that are placed in that green foam, where so they wanted to replace polystyrene, and one of their choices was Bounty Gel, but the first step of the criteria to qualify was it had to be biodegradable and compostable. So that's how we actually learned that it was biodegradable and compostable. My point being that the USDA and other forward thinking entities are looking for safer, healthier ways for our community, for our environment, as well as as for what we consume. And these are the changes that are going to happen certainly in your lifetime. For example, in areas where where they have oil rigs, Aramco has to place in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, they have to put trees wherever they have oil rigs to absorb the carbon monoxide. Along the highways, you have to have trees to absorb that. These areas do not have irrigation. They're relying on rainfall. And again, that's where products like Bounty Gel will play a role in providing a healthier environment. It is. It doesn't feel right. Um, they haven't decided yet if Bounty Gel is an answer, but we did find out that it was biodegradable, which is very interesting. There's a lot. There's a lot of activity in trying to create a healthier world, the air that we breathe, the food that we consume, and this is the class of product. And for me, the future is combining with companies that are already in the market who want to take their products to another level of sustainable products. And I'll share this with you. Probably not a popular thing to say, but a lot of people, a lot of companies want that word sustainable attached to their brand. Problem is they don't want to spend the money or take the time to be actually sustainable. But I think in over the course of time, there's going to be pressure to actually be sustainable. Once those words are defined better, and their impact on society in terms of the air we breathe and the food we consume, I think they're going to have no choice but to become actually those types of products. Well, that's a good way of looking at it, man. People want to be healthier now. I mean, there's no reason people want to know. I don't know if you've noticed now, but certainly where we live here in the East Coast, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but you now know where your fruit came from. So when you go, it says, John's Farm, Oakmont, New Jersey, or something like that, and you know where it was grown. And now you have the ability to go to that farm and make sure they're actually using safe, healthy methods for the foods you eat. And I know that I spoke to this group. Uh, it's a very interesting group, but they want to create a world where every time you put something in your to eat, you know exactly how it was grown, you know what chemicals were used, you know who did it. So there's accountability back to, you've heard that expression, seed to table. That's a very big thing here now. But now you'll actually know this is where the seed came from and this is where it wound up. And that means you're not anonymous anymore as a grower. There's accountability. So if you say something's organic, there's you better be organic. But your brain told you to do it. But here's the thing. 10 years ago, you wouldn't even know that as an alternative option. But today, people are aware of that. So what are people going to be aware of 10 years from now? They're going to go, I want stuff coming from his farm, not his farm. And that's the future of successful farming businesses, is that you want people to know that your farm produces the healthiest, safest, less disease free, less pesticide. That's the future. If you look at who are the largest farmers, who owns the most farmland in the world, it's the richest people in the world. That's why they're doing it. And something interesting that we're learning is there are companies now that are buying up farms, and then trying to put healthy, sustainable methods into the way they grow things. That's going to be important because it's going to change the nature of how your food is delivered to you. My goal is to introduce this product to all of the successful agricultural companies that exist today, because a water management component, which is what BountiGel is, combined with their successful products, their seed, their fertilizer, their when they sell young plant trees, these are the people we want to be part of. This way, Bounty Gel is not going to be sold farm to farm, but it's going to be sold on a grander scale where it's going to be part of, you know, I really believe the sum is greater than any of the individual parts. And now it's going to be the same thing. So now when you buy a nutrient, it's not going to be MPK and, one at a time. It's going to be a combination prill that has all of this in it. And that's the future for carbon neutral, is being part of a solution. It's a good analogy. Right. Well, if you think about the traditional nutrients, seed, fertilizer, nematicides, which is herbicide, fungicide, so fertilizer became a need in order to grow great, in order to grow. Nematicides in order to contend with the diseases and bugs. Now we really believe a fourth and a fifth is going to be biologicals and a water management component. And the biologicals are already a multi-billion-dollar industry. I don't think it's going to be long before water management becomes that. And we're in conversation now with some of the biggest names of agriculture. I only think it's 2025 when BountiGel becomes part of that group. And that to me is the future. And then I will have known I brought something of value to the world. And then I can ride off into the sunset as I get older. I hope my kids do it. I'm too old, John. I'm 66. I think my future is sitting back and watching things grow, not putting my hands in the ground. But yes, I see that, and I would love to be part of that. And I think we have the right product. I think we're at the right time. It's just getting the word out there and getting people comfortable with change. Well, hopefully, my passion for this is coming through. I mean, I really believe in what we're doing. I believe we're bringing something of value back to the society. And that's where I get a lot of my joy, is that I know water is a real issue. You read about it every day, you hear about it, and we now have something that says we can now contend with this. Just as fertilizer became a nutrient and nematicides, now water is going to be as valuable as anything else. And the more we read about drought situations, the more there's a demand for this kind of product. Yes, that's what's exciting. And when you look at some of the new technologies, AI and so forth, it's just going to make every grower that much more aware. It's like in sports they use these analytics now, and it's going to be the same thing with farming. I think if you're in the industry of growing crops, and I ask you just to consider water as something that you're always figuring out best ways to do it. You can't count on rain, and you don't know how the water supply is. The regulations are changing. Some people now have meters where the government monitors how much water you use, or rainwater isn't as accessible. Keep an open mind that there may be ways of contending with it. And all we ask you to do is try it once. We'll give you the product for free. Just try it. We won't even charge you for the test. Advice for life: follow your heart and follow your passion. Don't follow your wallet. That's for a happy life. Just do what you enjoy doing and let everything else take care of itself. Too often, at least in my generation, people faced, they just chased money to survive. But I think that in the end, money isn't everything. It's doing what you enjoy. And I've gotten so much joy out of bringing this product. When I see stories like I was saying earlier about the woman in Colorado, the guy in Kenya, and we have dozens of stories like this of people who had real issues who now are thriving, it makes me very happy. And that brings me more joy than, anything else you can get in business is that success. We work with future farmers of America, and to watch the young people and train them or educate them on how to use products for water management, that's brought me a lot of joy. Our website is www.carbonneutralagsolutions.com. Please go online, look up BountiGel, look up the name of our company. You'll have our email address, our phone number. You'll have all the information on our website, test results, MSD sheets, YouTube videos of how to apply it, testimonials from growers, whatever it is you need to know. And we have a customer service team that's always prepared at any time to talk to any potential user, how to best use it. We have people in the Middle East, in Mexico, Africa, to work with our customers. Thank you for inviting me, John Paul. I've had a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks. How do you think it went? Good. Well, I'm glad. I think we hit everything that you wanted to hear on your list. So you like that? Yeah, I do this with customers all the time, and they're blown out. It's like it's almost like you're seeing a magic show. Like, like where'd the water go? It's gone. You know what? It's a great idea. You know what? That's a phenomenal idea. Thank you. I didn't think about that. But we get like a transparent like pot, like you filled up. Have the soil, put the bounty gel in there, put the water in, and the bounty gel will show because it's different color than the soil. So we'll get like a dark soil. That'd be perfect.
That's all for today's episode of the New World Podcast. We have explored some fascinating topics with our amazing guests, shedding light on the upcoming New World. If you enjoyed today's episode and today's discussion and want to stay updated on the future episodes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, to the podcast. And if you found value on what we have discussed, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, or if you are interested in being a guest in the future, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn or email me at john.paul@aicinix.com and add New World Podcast, all capital, in the subject line so I can see it. I always love hearing from our listeners. And don't forget to check out our amazing guests. You can find more information about them via the contact details we provided earlier. Again, thank you for tuning in on the New World Podcast. I know your time is very important and I try to always make the next episode better than the last. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep innovating. This is John Paul Flores signing off from the New World Podcast.